Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time it's a discussion video, and I'm going to be answering the question, for me at least, and you could answer it too if you like in the comments. Is comic book collecting even fun anymore? Now, I know a lot of you might say enthusiastically, yes, it still is, but there are some collectors out there that even though they still collect, they may still enjoy collecting a bit. The hobby is not as fun as it used to be. Now, I'll answer this question first and then I'll analyze my answer a bit. For me, collecting is still very much fun. I've been collecting for a very long time. Comic books, as well as you can see from behind me, video games, have been a part of my life for over 30 years, a little longer. So yeah, it's still a little fun, but times change. Now, I think one of the reasons why some people may not find it that much fun or entertaining as it used to be is because of the prices that we've been seeing over the last year and a half. Well, when it comes to those prices, perhaps maybe they were inflated a bit, due to the pandemic, due to stimulus money, due to all these different things that have been going on. I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily a single answer to this question, and I've mentioned that before. There's probably a bunch of different things, almost like a perfect storm, why things are the way they are. But I'm also going to look at it this way. To be quite frank, there were a lot of books out there, or there are a lot of books that have been completely underrated for a long time and undervalued. I used to have that series, remember? Underrated, Undervalued. I just think that there have been so many out there that have been underrated that a lot of collectors who may have shied away from getting some of the bigger books went to some of these underrated books, whether they're modern books or underrated silver or goldens, which helped, I think, drive up the price of a lot of these books. And you throw on top of that what's been going on in the world when it comes to the pandemic, extra stimulus money, whatever it is, people working at home and being able to buy things more often or quite easily from home, whatever has increased the prices of some of these books. And also the movies. The movies are incredibly popular. And it's not just comic collecting or these comic book characters like Spider-Man and the Avengers and Iron Man, all these characters that were sometimes, although worldly, were mainly just collected by a lot of us here in the West. Now that movies have become multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar industries worldwide, these characters, this hobby has become mainstream to a lot of people outside of the West, in particular in China and all these other places. So naturally, there's a bigger demand. There's more of a focus on them. Now, you could debate whether or not some of these characters or some of these books that have shot up to crazy prices that you never would have thought they would be years ago, whether or not that's going to last. Well, that's a conversation for another video. But this video is talking about the joy of collecting, and I think a lot of people may have lost the joy of collecting or started to bail out of the hobby because of the prices. But I'm here to say that there's still plenty of joy in collecting. Sometimes you just got to change your focus. Now, I can understand some of you who were looking maybe, hopefully, one day to get an Amazing Fantasy 15, whether it's a 3.0 or 4.0. Now you're looking in upwards of $50,000 to $70,000 to get a copy like that. That may no longer be an option for you. But despite that, there's still plenty of things out there for you to collect. Now, for me, like I say, I just refocus. Sure, there are a couple big books out there that I still want to get that are sometimes a bit of a bummer that I can't get them right now. But there's still plenty of other things out there that make me just can't wait to go and look for these things, whether it's online or go to a local con or go to my local shop. Plenty still out there. In particular, I'll start with one of my favorites, Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Haunt of Fear. I've finished my Tales from the Crypt run. As those of you that follow me on YouTube, watching my videos, you know that. But now I'm slowly gaining traction in Vault of Horror and Haunt of Fear. And even though the prices sometimes can be, a bit up there, right? But that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been for a lot of comic book collectors. You like collecting Amazing Spider-Man books over the last 10 years? Sure. Prices were much lower a few years beforehand, but there were quite a few books that were still pretty expensive, whether you wanted to get them 4.0, 6.0, there were quite a few. So it's the same thing here, but it still brings joy. I think as a comic book collector, it's still a lot of fun looking to upgrade a Tales from the Crypt book, or looking to add that extra that Vault of Horror book to your collection, or whatever it is. For me, there were some books that just the joy of collecting, that in the Vault of Horror run in particular, I was like, well, I never really thought about getting this book. But then after I looked at it and I started to appreciate the cover more, as this often happens with me when it comes to those books, I just can't wait to get that book. I can't wait to open it up. I can't wait to have it in my collection. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of joy. And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way about certain runs, right? Now, there are some things realistically I don't think I'm going to be able to get to, which may be interpreted as it's not really that fun because of prices, such as pre-code horror books. I stick with EC. I was saying the other day to somebody, look, collecting superhero books is a full-time job in the hobby, because, you want to maybe get some Spider-Mans, you want to get some X-Men, you may want to venture over to DC or vice versa, from DC to Marvel. It's a lot. And like I said, with prices, it can get overwhelming. And to add pre-code horror to that that's another full-time job, honestly. But still, it's important to, no matter what it is, to pick out little pieces of what you enjoy about this hobby. Maybe you just want to stay focused on pre-code horror. Maybe you just want to stay with the superheroes. Maybe you want to dabble in both a little bit. There's still plenty of joy. There's still plenty of fun going to conventions. Even though I stated, I don't really want to go to the New York Comic Con because, the prices are probably outrageous. Well, just because you don't go to a major con, that doesn't mean you don't enjoy acquiring new books for whatever reason, whether it's for your PC or something that you're looking to sell down the line to get something bigger. There still can be joy in doing that, no matter what. And I still have it. Recently, I've discovered some, even though I've been collecting for a while, I should have discovered this earlier. I've discovered some of the great covers of DC's Bronze Age horror. Stuff like Secrets of Sinister House. I never even heard of that title before until I got onto Instagram. And I'll tell you, one of the things for me, at least, like I just mentioned, why I still find collecting joyful, fun, worth it for various reasons. Social media helps out too. When I first came back, YouTube used to really be helpful to me. But I've found recently something that's really increased my joy for collecting is Instagram, because I would follow some of these people that have pre-code horror books, or just many different books where I can see the covers of these books and appreciate them, such as Secrets of Sinister House. I never even heard of that title until I saw it about a month ago on Instagram. I was like, what is this? The cover alone is absolutely gorgeous, and this will be in an upcoming haul, Halloweenish haul. I don't know if you remember my first year making videos, I had that Halloween haul. It was poorly lit and all that stuff, but I'm gonna see if I could try something like that again this year. But it's just, again, like little things like that really show the love of collecting, the joy of collecting, and that it is worth it. Now, I understand that there are some people out there that get frustrated because of the things that I've mentioned or whatever. Easily frustrated. If you're somebody that's easily frustrated with things, whether prices go up or there's just so much to get, I would say stay away from the hobby, because you're probably not going to stick with it anyway. It takes a lot to stick with a hobby like this, especially if you're a new collector. For those of you that are new collectors out there and you're just so overwhelmed and you want to get the original books and all of that, and you're saying, geez, I don't know if I could get the original books. You have to keep in mind to stick with things and try to ask yourselves why exactly you're collecting. And when you come to the answer, hopefully you'll be able to see and understand that joy in collecting. If you don't find that, then I would say find another hobby or find something else, because you're probably not going to last too long in this hobby. But like I said, just discovering things that I never knew about is something that I look forward to every time I go on Instagram. Every time I refresh my feed and I see some of the people that I follow, I'm like, oh my God, look at this cover. Oh, I may not be able to get this one, but look at this. This is something within reach. Like the Secrets of Sinister House, but also the Secrets of Haunted House. Started to get into some Bronze Age Marvel horrors, like Chamber of Chills and Dead of Night. These are just all fabulous things that are quite affordable. If you're complaining about prices and all that stuff, but you appreciate art, you appreciate horror, but you can't get those pre-code horrors, or you can't get Tales from the Crypt books, which I think Tales from the Crypt stuff out of pre-code horror is probably some of the more affordable. The ECs are more affordable. You try collecting some Atlas stuff or some other companies like Avon, forget it. But this hobby still has a lot of good things in it, and for those of us that have been around, you could forget about the prices for a moment. There's still plenty of things, affordable things, within reach things that can make this hobby joyful and worth sticking around for, in my opinion. So, with that being said, what about you? Have you felt that the joy of collecting or the need to collect has sort of diminished due to maybe prices or due to something else? Are you really bummed that Amazing Fantasy 15 or that Fantastic Four 1 or whatever is probably most likely out of range for you, unless you sell a whole lot of things, whatever it is? I'd be interested in hearing. But as Luther Manning says, and he says this in his videos, or he said it a lot in the past, it's love what you have, and that's incredibly important. I could sit back and I could say, yes, even though I may not have everything I wanted to get, but I still have some good things that I could look back and say, this hobby is worth continuing to be in. This is a hobby that has brought me a lot of joy, and I'm sticking around. So let me know how you feel. Let me know the way you feel, some of your comments. Be interested in reading them. Take care and be safe.